be led by Commissioner Bob Barnwell. If you would please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. God of our weary years, God who has brought us this far on the way, we pause to thank you for all your many blessings. We know that sometimes we're most ungrateful, but you keep blessing us, and so we thank you for it. We thank you that we live in a country that we can go to bed at night and not worry about bombs or anything. We ask that you would look upon our men and women who are fighting for our freedom. Bring them home safely. We ask your blessings upon Williamson County, a place that we all like to live. Keep it like that, Lord. And we know that if we seek your guidance, then that's the way it will be. Now we thank you, Lord. Help us in our deliberation tonight to do what is right in your sight and that would benefit the people that we serve. These and all other blessings we ask in the name of your dear Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Be seated, please. In order to have a record of your attendance tonight, if you would press your white button for the indication of being present. Ms. Anderson, if you would report the roll call.
We have 23 present, 1 absent. Commissioner Clyde Lynch, absent.
Thank you. Commissioner Lynch is not with us tonight, so wish Commissioner Lynch well. We'd also like to ask you, as this is the legislative body of Williamson County and we are in session tonight, if in fact you have a pager or a telephone in your pocket, that it's on silence. Please give us that courtesy and silence all of your communication equipment, please. We're also happy tonight to have with us Sergeant at Arms Lynn Sutton. The Sheriff is also with us tonight, and thank each of them for being here. Approval of minutes of the regular January 12, 2009 County Commission meeting. These copies were mailed to each of you. I'll entertain a motion we accept.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Walton, second by Commissioner Chalfant to approve the minutes of the January 12, 2009 meeting. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Approval of the minutes is unanimous. Introduction and acceptance of the Highway Commission minutes. These were sent out to you in the mail. I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Hayes and Commissioner Little, the second. All in favor of accepting the Highway Commission minutes, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Show it unanimous, so ordered. Citizens communication, any sign-ups?
I brought them up.
Sorry. Citizens communication is a 0, which is we'll move on to the next portion of the agenda, communications and messages. We have 2 late file resolutions. Resolution 209-14. This is the Homeland Security late file resolution. It was in your packet. 209-14. This is a resolution authorizing the county mayor to execute a grant agreement. You can see there on the face the resolution. Any opposition, any opposing? Hearing 209-14 on the late file resolution this evening. Any objections? I see no objections, so we'll add 209-14 on the agenda where it's listed, and then late file 209-15, resolution authorizing the county mayor to execute the applications for the THDA home grant application. That's late filed. Any objection to hearing 209-15? See no objection, so we will hear that at the appropriate time on the agenda this evening. Reports of county offices. Mayor Anderson.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, just go ahead and have David come up and give us a financial snapshot of the county.
Please, sir. Mr. Coleman?
Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners, the same reports we do on a monthly basis, we'll go through those, and most of these are at your desk because of the timing of the meeting. We weren't able to get those in the packet, but we were able to get all of them put together by this afternoon. Start off with a bit of good news, and that is the report from the Conference Center out at the Marriott Cool Springs. To my recollection, this is the best month we've ever had. We received a check for $103,200, so
Congratulations.
great December. The next report is the monthly budget report for January 31st. As I mentioned, thanks to the school staff and to my staff, we just got this put together this afternoon. Nothing alarming there. Everything seems to be in order. Again, the property taxes are starting to come in, and by the end of February, we'll have a good indication of all the property tax collections, but the trustees mentioned to us over the last couple of weeks that everything seems to be coming in about even or maybe just a little ahead of last year. The third item is the privilege tax report, which we've been watching very closely over the last several months. Continues to fall, and if we just flip over to the chart for just a minute, it appears to be a little bit of an increase on the adequate schools facilities tax at the bottom. But one thing that skews that a little bit, on top, we had a payment last month for an old project that had not paid their privilege tax. That came in last month and made the regular privilege tax appear to go up a little bit. But that payment was due on starts. The building permits were actually pulled before July of '07, so they did not pay the adequate schools facilities tax. But even though that shows a slight increase there on the bottom, continues to be, I guess the best thing I can say is very dismal right now. We're just hoping that things will turn around a little bit this spring. I think there was one article in the paper this week where one of the builders in Spring Hill had bought, I think, 78 new lots and was getting ready to start building some houses, so we hope that's just the beginning of that kind of activity. Any questions, Mr. Chairman? I'll be glad
Any
to try
questions of Mr. Coleman? I see none.
One other item, Mr. Chairman, I think a couple of commissioners have asked. The state, along with everyone else, is looking at ways to save money. They did not print our county audits this year. If you'd like to get a copy of our county audits, you can go to the State of Tennessee website, to the Division of County Audit, and they're posted on that website. And if you would like a hard copy, we have a loose copy that they provided to us, and we could have some of those printed if need be.
Any questions of Mr. Coleman? Thank you, David. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To hitchhike on what David is saying, this information was presented to me late this afternoon for the building permits for the year 2008. We had 196 building permits in the unincorporated area as compared to 12 months, same time, same period of 322 for 2007, so a significant drop. And through the first 30 days of January 2009, we've had 11 building permits in the unincorporated area. That's the smallest number we've ever had in the history of keeping records since 1988. On some good news, last week we were notified by the National Resource Conservation Services several months ago, actually about 6 or 7 months ago, you all approved some co-op money to help the folks with the the tornado victims out in the Fairview, the debris cleanup. We have been notified that $823,000 will be presented to Williamson County. We have a matching fund of that. It's almost an 80-20, and so far we will be. We've got some pre-bid meetings set up, and we have 13 agreements signed to date, so that we can go on and help some of these folks. And I thank you very much for allowing us to go through this. And Floyd Heflin up in Joe Horn's area was very instrumental in staying on top of that, so we're very proud of that. Finally, Mr. Chairman, if I would, I'd like to, on the very, very last item we've got is the TDOT agreement, but I would like to give recognition to these 3 individuals that have come to every single committee meeting that we've had to answer your questions. They have brought several maps to the committee, meetings, and the first one was Joe Carpenter. He's sitting in the back. Mr. Chairman, when the time comes, I'd like to discuss the TDOT agreement a little bit more in detail. Jeffrey Hogue and Kelly Garrett, all three of these individuals have been in all of our meetings, and I appreciate that very much from the office of TDOT.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of Mayor Anderson? Commissioner Barnwell, please.
Mayor, several months back, we approved a tax incentive for a company did that ever come to fruition? About $60,000 to entice somebody to move to this area?
At this time, they have withdrawn their consideration, not to say that they won't be back at a later date.
Does that make that null and void, our concession, or?
I think it's probably good till the end of our legislative body. In all honesty, Mr. Barnwell, don't think they'll be coming here this year.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Commissioner. Director of Schools, Dr. David Heath.
I'd like to just take a couple of minutes to answer some questions about a resolution you'll be seeing that a couple of you called about, and that is the resolution on buses. As some of you know, there is a legislative, the expectation that there'll be a legislative act that might extend the life of a bus from the current 15 years to some other period of time. The bill that's being presented is for 20 years. We've been told that won't, in one meeting, that won't go, that it's more likely to be 17. But regardless, whether it's 15, 17, or 20, the questions I've been asked to provide you information on are what we would do if it were to pass at 17 years, what we'd do if it passed for 20, and when we have to, it's the last date we can order buses. And so with those three questions in mind, I'll try to provide that information. If the legislature passes an extension of 2 years, then we would be able to use 2 of our special ed buses and 14 of our regular ed. We have 7 regular ed buses right now that have had new motors put in them already in their since we've had them, and we have 7 more that have 175,000 miles on them with a life expectancy of somewhere 230 for the most part. So we have some mileage left in those. If it were to be 20 years, then we would keep all of the buses. We would only need to order 4 special ed, but we would not repair buses as they went into disrepair. As they, if they needed a new motor 2 years from now, we wouldn't put a new motor in them, for example. And that's really the best answer we can provide you on that, because we are dealing with aged buses, and there are things that happen to them besides motors that could be quite expensive. So we would maintain that fleet for those periods of time.
Dr. Heath, would you go back and I appreciate your comments, but tell us, if it goes to 17, how many buses would you purchase?
We would need to purchase. We had 19 regular ed buses. We would use 14 of them, so we'd need 5 regular ed and 2.
2 special ed?
No, I'm sorry, we'd need 4 special ed. I
4,
think I
okay.
misspoke on that.
So 5 and 4, what
Right.
about 20?
Right. In 20, we would not order any regular ed buses, but we would need 4 special ed buses.
Okay. All right.
As far as time, that's a little bit more difficult. We got emails from 3 bus companies today, and if you think about manufacturing, probably there are a lot of people in Tennessee that, like we are, that are waiting to see what's going to happen. So right now, they probably don't have a lot of orders stacked up. But today, if we were to order today, Thomas said they need 110 days to deliver. Bluebird said 100 days, and International said 150 days. Our best estimate from years past has been about 120 days. It takes approximately, after we get the buses, before we can put them in service, they have to undergo a state inspection. The longest period of time we've had to wait in the past has been about 10 days for that state inspection. That's not a guarantee, that's just where we've been in the past with about 10 days. So depending on, and we'd have to check with that as time went on, but we'd have to check kind of on a weekly basis to see what their backlog is, but probably we definitely, as I've said before, would not place any order until we absolutely had to, hoping that we would have something, a decision made by the legislature prior to that, to the latest, at the latest possible date. So
there's no date. What's the cut date to order?
well, as I say, that's impossible to know because they told us if we order today, there are 3 different dates, but that's based on what their build status is right now. That's going to change as other school systems and we and other people start adding buses. Probably, if you take the best information we can get from the 29th of March until about the 6th of April, in that time frame is probably the very latest we can, I mean, that's the safest. Provided, again, we do not, I mean, if we were to get a low bid from International with a 150-day backlog, that's longer. And the bids will be out, we'll know who has the lowest bid. That was another question I was asked. Certainly, we would hope that because the economy is outlook is not rosy, that we might get a little bit better price, but we won't know that until nearly the end of the month. We'll be putting the bus bid out in about next week, and I think the 20th is the deadline for people to respond to that bid.
Commissioner Barnwell, you'd asked me to speak after Dr. Heath spoke. I'll recognize you, please.
Yeah, Dr. Heath, I'd just like to, as the maker of this resolution of 209-4, the March 29th date gives us a lot more latitude than I initially anticipated. And to me, it appears that this would, if I pulled this resolution today and we looked at it again for next month, we're still within the window that allows us to get everything done. You can still do your bid process, correct?
We can still do the bid process, yes.
Okay. So this would give us another month to let this legislation fester a little bit and see if we're any closer to resolving this problem. So I think, as the maker of this resolution, I'm going to withdraw 2-09-4 from review this evening and wait till the March meeting.
Okay, that's your prerogative as the maker of a resolution. So 209-4 has been withdrawn by the sponsor, Commissioner Bob Barnwell. Thank you. Commissioner Wilson, you disappeared on me there. Go ahead.
The question I had, Dr. Heath, is sometimes those of us that are, of course, representing the citizens here in Williamson County, I would like to have a little more information. The average public, the knowledge that you just expressed, is not known to the average citizen that a bus, supposedly by state law, needs to be turned in 15 years. And I think it's important that we, maybe with a resolution where you're spending money and it's not money that has already been collected from somewhere else, that you're spending this money, could we have a little more explanation? And I know that you were asked, you know, to provide just what you did. I would love a copy of that, if you don't mind. But I would really like to have a little more explanation, because when you have citizens, we're not just we're representing all of Williamson County, and I sometimes find myself at loss for knowing for sure what to do. I don't know. That's just a
So
suggestion I
you're
have.
saying in the language of the resolution itself?
Yeah.
We can try to do that.
Okay,
Explain that a
thank
little
you.
bit.
Thank you. Other questions at this point? Thank you, Dr. Heath. Any other committee wishing to make any report this time? Mr. Miller? Is it red dress time?
Chairman, I'm going to get to that in a minute then. Just a few things for you that I thought I'd share with you tonight. I'm quite sure you're reading in the papers about the health care situation. Williamson Medical Center is not, how can I put it? It is hurting us as much as it's hurting other people. But we have done certain things as far as cost reductions. We have done renegotiations of contracts. We're still in better shape than most of the hospitals in Middle Tennessee. The reason why I wanted to bring this up, some of it's come out of Nashville already, or in Middle Tennessee as a whole, that there's been substantial layoffs at the hospitals, particularly in Nashville. Layoffs will be our last resort, and I'm going to tell you why. It takes you 3 years from the time you lay off a group to get back to where you were when you started. And we think that we can get through it without the layoffs. There's been certain of the large hospitals in Nashville that have made layoffs, but they were large enough where they never made the media. But we're not going to have as good a years as others. I've talked with our doctors. We're having people cancel surgeries. I'm sure glad we need the business. But they're canceling surgeries in our primary care areas. People are not coming for their visits, or they've canceled the appointments, or they just don't show up. One ENT doctor told me that if it wasn't for the children, i.e. ears and tonsils, then he would just not have any business whatsoever. The parents are not coming for their needs. But we're hanging in there. We're doing as good as we can. Like I said, we're not recession-proof like they said in the papers. No health care facility is. A couple of other things. We had one of our EMS crews. They were on standby for 2 weeks, and then they went to Kentucky. And I think they did an excellent job. From what we've understand, they're going to be commended for the service that they provided, but that came out of Williamson County. So we did as much as we possibly could for Kentucky. Okay, the third thing that everybody wants to hear about. If somebody will come up with $2,500, I'll put the dress back on. Now, I thought I was cuter as a brunette than a blonde. But also some people in the law enforcement area said that if they caught me going down the streets in that red dress, that blonde wig, I'm going to jail. But I think I was cuter as a brunette. But no, I've gotten too old. I'm retiring. I'm turning it over to the young ones so that they can carry on the tradition. But that dress, I'll be honest with you, it brought the American Heart Association $2,500 every year I put it on.
You look great. You look great.
And Chairman, you'd put the dress on for $2,500, wouldn't you?
That's right.
That's all I have. Has anybody got any questions?
Any questions of Mr. Miller? Great to see you back. Hope you're doing well, and certainly the great job there that the parking garage is open and doing well.
Yes, if people use it. You know, we got plenty of parking spaces. So,
That's not a problem.
yeah. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Any other committee wishing to give any report, I would ask and just remind all of you, and I think everyone did, looking at the records, you did file your ethics disclosure that was due by the end of last month. So any other committees, anything wishing to report at this time? I see none. Elections and appointments. There are none. Notaries. You received the list of notaries in the mail. I'll entertain a motion that we accept the notaries as presented. Commissioner Smith, the motion. Commissioner Cook, the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Show it unanimous. No consent agenda. Unfinished business, new business, zoning, appropriations. Let me ask the wishes of the body. Our guests from TDOT have been so faithful to be here at all of our committee meetings. They are down toward the end of the agenda, and I know all three of them have traveled a distance to be here. Any objection to our moving forward resolution number 20913 so that we can hear that and let these folks get on their way? Any objections? I see none. Now let's move that forward. Mr. Mayor, if you'd come on forward and introduce. I know you've got some comments to make, and then we'll entertain resolution 20913 without objection and take that under consideration at this time, sir.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for pulling that forward, and thanks to the commissioners for listening to it. Behind me, the first gentleman here is Joe Carpenter, who is the Assistant Chief Engineer of Design. directly. The young lady is Kelly Garrett. She's a project manager. And the final gentleman is Jeffrey Hogue. He's the director of right-of-way. These three individuals, as I indicated earlier, followed us through the process. What you have tonight in this resolution, and they're here to answer any of the particulars that you may have on it. Many of you have heard this conversation that I'm going to have with you again tonight, that this goes back some 20 years on the State Route 840. Over the last several years, they've been in quite a bit of improvement on their road capacity all over the state, and I think I've heard Mr. Carpenter speak and make the comment that given this particular section of road, that it will set the standard and a model for many of the road projects they're doing across the state. The agreement that you have here tonight, and I do want to stress that it is a proposal, but it is a working agreement. All we're asking for tonight is the authorization for me to enter into some negotiations and agreements with TDOT. There's a lot of I's that need to be dotted. There's a lot of T's that need to be crossed. Many of you have been in and about that piece of property, but it is on 0.3 miles west of Bending Chestnut and 0.7 miles east of Thompson Station. This is not about another access onto the road. It is not about anything other than working out an agreement to get this road 840 to go from the Thompson Station area over to the Fairview area. I have said publicly, and I'll say it again, we need this road. We need the road to be finished. We need the road to be open. I wish they could open it tomorrow, but it will be several years before they get this thing open. It needs to be done right, and I think they've made an effort to try to do it. Have we dotted all the I's and crossed the T's? No. As I've indicated to Mr. Carpenter, there'll be a lot of legal agreements that I'll be calling upon Jeff and Bobby to work out. Many of you know they're kind of going down to the middle of the Springs property. We've got to have access to get from one spot to the other. We can't go through the stream, so we'll be working on agreements to access that. There's two pieces of property on each side of the road for safety and for a lot of other reasons. I've also indicated in a public meeting, and so I'll say it here tonight, I'm not interested in so much of their money, but I would like to have some swapping of property. If they've got other property out there that we could combine with this is not their area, but I want you to understand that I'll be negotiating with these men and women at TDOT to try to get some additional property. Not that we don't need the money, but I understand something like this just comes along once in a very few years, and so I'd like to be able to get some more land in which to build a passive park out into the future. Not anything tomorrow, but in a few years that would make a wonderful park for a lot of our grandchildren and for many other people in the area. Mr. Nairn, I don't know what else to say. I think most everyone's heard it. There's some questions I know Commissioner Parra asked me about, that there's a comment or two in there about where we're doing this without any in-kind or any money. That's just not the way that it works. I can assure you we'll be back and letting you know all of the details, and if I run into a snag, I'll be back a lot quicker. So with that, I'll let Mr. Carpenter, if you have any questions.
Let me get it on the floor. Resolution number 20913, resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into an agreement with the Tennessee Department of Transportation. Commissioners Jones, Hester, and Greer.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Jones, the motion. Commissioner Greer, the second. The Highway Commission passed this 4-0 against. Property Committee.
6-4-0 against.
Thank you. Budget Committee.
4-4-0 again.
Thank you. So this has been approved by the various committees. This has been through all the committees. It's been unanimously accepted by all the committees, and in order to not rehash, I'll ask, does any commissioner have any question of these individuals that are here tonight that are very gracious to be here? Mr. Carpenter, Mr. Hogue, and Mrs. Garrett, any questions of any commissioner on this resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make one point of clarity.
Be careful. When there are no questions and we're ready to vote, be careful. Go ahead.
Well, I want to make sure it was clear on what the mayor was explaining, just expound a little bit more on that. The actual proposal is a pretty standard format we use with cities or counties when we go through. The actual negotiation for crossing county property is a separate issue that will be addressed in our normal right-of-way items. This just covers standard items of how we'll turn the roadways back that the county have that are impacted by 840, and that you'll be under control of your stop signs, your roads like you were before, and that we'll be taking care of 840 proper. So I didn't want to see the two of them mixed together. They're actually separate. This proposal is just a standard form agreement that we have, and the mayor is also dealing with us on the separate right-of-way aspects of it and negotiating on that. So I just wanted to make that one point of clarification.
All right, we're ready. Commissioner Brockman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one quick question, and that just, again, you can just clarify, I think I know the answer, but the route itself, even though we don't have a copy of it in the proposal, is part of this proposal in terms of the negotiated route.
That route is what we released in February of 2006 after the citizens' response. It's the same alignment along that way, and part of the right-of-way process is those actual plans and the actual land will be staked, if it's not already, and presented to the mayor as well for that.
And that citizens group agreed 100% with the route? I mean, it was a...
Well, I'd say we had a consensus, we had a majority consensus on that opinion. They may have made a minority report, but the commissioner nicely accepted that and made his statement of that in February 2006. And what we have tonight that we're moving forward with is the same thing that came out of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? I see none. If you're in favor of 209-13, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record the vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes.
Thank you. Resolution is unanimously adopted. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming, and certainly appreciate your being here. Resolution number 2091, resolution amending the 2008-9 general purpose school fund budget for reading recovery, professional development expenses funded by other districts. Commissioner Barnwell, please.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Mills, the second. Committee reports. Education Committee.
5-4-0 against.
Thank you. Budget Committee. Let me get you turned on that, Mr. Green. Okay. And the school board approved this 11-4-0 no. Commissioner Barnwell, explanation, please.
Yes, we are the leading reader recovery program teachers, and we train teachers from both inside and outside the district. We've received more funds than anticipated from outside counties. We need to use this for training of their teachers, and these funds will be used for paid tuition and other professional development expenses for these
Thank you,
teachers.
sir. Questions of Commissioner Barnwell? I see none. If you're in favor of 209-1, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Everybody voted to wish to vote. Record a vote, please.
Okay, 23 yes.
Thank you. Resolution unanimously adopted. 2092, resolution appropriating $95,000 federal funds for the American History Curriculum Writing Grant. Commissioner Barnwell.
Move for approval.
Second, Commissioner Langston. School Board, 11 yes, 0 no. Education Committee.
5-4-0 against.
Thank you. Budget Committee.
Budget Committee 4-4-0 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Barnwell.
It's got the best explanation at all. It's a grant.
Sir? No local funds. Any questions? If you're in favor of 2092, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Everybody voted, wish to vote, record a vote, please.
23 yes.
Thank you. Resolution unanimously adopted. Resolution 2093, resolution appropriating funds from undesignated fund balance for the setup and installation of portables for next year not to exceed $668,237. Commissioner Barnwell, please.
Move for approval.
Second, Commissioner Mills. The school board, 11 yes, 0 no. Education Committee, please.
5-4-0 against.
Thank you. Budget.
4-4-0 against.
Thank you, sir. Explanation, Commissioner Barnwell.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is for approximately 20 portables to be set up and used in the county for the next school year, which represents about $550,000 of this money. Another $118,000 represents for Heritage Middle School, where they will be kitting out a couple more classrooms. They're taking a bigger classroom and making 2 classrooms out of that big classroom.
Thank you, sir. Questions of Commissioner Barnwell? I see none. 2093 is up for consideration. In favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes.
Thank you. Resolution unanimously adopted. Resolution 2094 has been withdrawn. Resolution 2095, resolution appropriating and amending the 2008-9 WCTV local access channel budget by $3,000. Revenues to come from unappropriated county general funds. Commissioner Green.
Move for approval.
Second, Commissioner Cook. Budget Committee report.
Budget Committee 440 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Green.
This is, WCTV has requests for various DVD copies of certain programming that they have, and the purchase of this the purchase monies that they receive has to go in the general fund. What we're doing is drawing money out of the general fund to replace those supplies.
Thank you, sir. Questions of Commissioner Green? I see none. 2095 is up for consideration. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please.
23 yes.
Thank you. Resolution unanimously adopted. Resolution 2096, resolution appropriating and amending the 2008-9 library budget by $63,656.01. Revenues to come from miscellaneous donations. Commissioner Barnwell.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Langston, the second. Budget Committee report.
Budget Committee 440 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Barnwell.
Yes, this is our normal accounting process for donations that come in throughout the course of this last 4 or 5 months. And the other supplies, materials, we normally all this goes to books, but the Library Foundation is funding a summer reading program for us. That's why that other supplies, materials is sitting there.
Questions of Commissioner Barnwell? I see none. 2096 is up for consideration. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please.
23 yes.
23 yes. Resolution unanimously adopted. Resolution 2097, resolution appropriating and amending the 2008-9 Sheriff's Department budget by $20,000. Revenues to come from state grant funds. Commissioner Hancock.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Green. Law Enforcement Public Safety Committee.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, sir. Budget Committee.
Budget Committee 440 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Hancock, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a grant that the Sheriff's Department put in for, and they've received it, and they'll be able to use it and participate in law enforcement activities of reducing speed, aggressive driving, driving under the influence, seatbelt violations, and like. They'll get training and networking for those activities.
Thank you, sir. Questions of Commissioner Hancock on this resolution? I see none. 2097. If you're in favor of this resolution, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes.
Thank you. Resolution unanimously adopted. Resolution 2098, resolution authorizing and amending the 2008-9 Sheriff's Department budget by $47,478. Revenues to come from state grant funds. Commissioner Hancock, please.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Smith, the second. The Law Enforcement Committee report.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Budget Committee.
Budget Committee 440 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
Mr. Chairman, this is another grant that the Sheriff's Department put in for and has received, and it will aid in utilizing for expenses associated with conducting random sobriety checkpoints and saturations at random times, including a network coordinator of the Governor's Highway Safety Office.
Great program. Other questions, comments on this resolution, 2098? I see none. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes.
Thank you. Resolution unanimously adopted. Resolution 20911, resolution appropriating and amending the 2008-9 capital projects budget by $87,000 $820. Revenues to come from unappropriated county general fund balance received from grants and donations. Commissioner Green.
Move for approval.
Is there a second? Who was the second? I'm sorry. Commissioner Williams. The second, you have laying at your desk a proposed amendment to Resolution 20911. That should be at your desk. Commissioner Green, would you propose those amendments, please, sir?
Yes, as it's written out in your attachment there, the resolution authorizing the county mayor to execute an agreement and appropriating amending the 2008-2009 capital budget by $87,820, revenues to come from unappropriated general funds, balance received from grants and donations. In fact, submit that as a motion to amend the title of
Should
the
we do them
resolution.
both in one motion?
I do them separately.
Okay, I'll entertain a second. Commissioner Cook, the second, to amend the title. Any further discussion on amending the title? Let's do a voice vote. All in favor of amending the title of this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, second amendment, Commissioner Green, please.
And the second amendment is on that same attachment. It says, and be it further resolved that the Board of Commissioners meeting in a regular session on this 9th day of February 2009 hereby authorizes the county mayor to execute a contract and any substantial agreements with Picometry International Group for the provision of digitized photography and related services.
Is there a second? Commissioner Hancock, the second. Motion by Commissioner Green. Further discussion on the amendment. Do you have it loaded, Linda?
I had them loaded together.
Okay, all right, so we'll vote on this and then we'll vote on the amended motion. So all in favor of this amendment as proposed by Commissioner Green and second by Commissioner Hancock, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show it unanimous. So we're now voting on Resolution 20911 as amended. Any discussion or questions on 20911 as amended? I see none. If you're in favor of 20911 as amended, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Everybody voted wishes to vote. Record a vote, please.
23 yes.
Thank you very much. Resolution unanimously adopted. 20912, resolution appropriating and amending the 2008-9 Election Commission budget by $16,525.38. Revenues to come from other local revenues. Commissioner Green.
Move for approval.
Second, Commissioner Wilson. The Budget Committee report.
Budget Committee 440 again.
Explanation, Commissioner Green, please.
This is revenues that came from the cities of Fairview, Thompson Station, and Nolensville for the election held on November 8th to offset the expenses that the Williamson County Election Commission incurred, and that's to balance out.
Thank you, sir. Questions of Commissioner Green? I see none. If you're in favor of 20912, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please.
23 yes.
Thank you very much. Resolution unanimously adopted. Resolution number 20914, resolution authorizing the county mayor to execute a grant agreement and appropriating and amending the 2008-9 capital projects budget by $228,602 for emergency management equipment, revenues to come from Homeland Security grant funds. Commissioner Hayes, please.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Cook, the second. Law Enforcement Public Safety Committee.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Budget Committee.
Budget Committee 440 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Hayes.
Yes, this is a grant possibility from Homeland Security, and the reason that it and the following one are late filed is that we only received word after our deadline. It was important enough for us to go ahead and act to start the process of getting the money in here. So it is very important that we approve this and get things going.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions of Commissioner Hayes? I see none. If you're in favor of 20914, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes.
Thank you. Resolution unanimously adopted. 20915, resolution authorizing the county mayor to execute the applications required in supporting fiscal year 2009 THDA home grant application in the amount of up to $500,000. Commissioner Hayes.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Mills, the second. Budget Committee,
Budget Committee 4-4, against.
thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Hayes, please.
We have an opportunity to help people who are in need, and this money is provided from grants, so they need it, so I say let's help them.
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Hayes, I see none. 209-15, in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Everybody voted. Record a vote, please.
23 yes.
Thank you. Resolution unanimously adopted. Resolution to permit the serving of alcoholic beverages. This is 2099. Resolution to permit the serving of alcoholic beverages at the Agricultural Exposition Center for an event of the Nashville Kennel Club. Commissioner Cook, please.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Green, the second. Property Committee.
4-4-0 against,
Thank
2
you.
abstain.
Thank you. Budget Committee.
Budget Committee 4-4, against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Cook.
The Nashville Kennel Club has been using the Agricultural Exposition Center for their dog show for, I think, the last 7 or 8 years, and they wanted a hospitality room. They've never had any problem, and they usually have an off-duty policeman serving.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions of Commissioner Cook? I see none. 2099 is up for consideration. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please.
Jack. Thank you.
It is.
18 yes, 3 abstain, 2 no.
18 yes, 3 abstain, and 2 noes. So the resolution is adopted. 18, 2, and 3 abstentions. Resolution 20910, resolution authorizing the naming of Williamson County's weapons range. This is signed by several commissioners. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Commissioner Hancock, Commissioner Chalfant, the second, referred to the Law Enforcement Committee. Commissioner Hancock.
5 in favor, 0 against.
5 in favor, 0 against. Explanation, please.
Mr. Chairman, Sheriff Williams served this county for over 20 years and served it very professionally. He was revered across the state. He was a leader in that profession. He nurtured that department from, I guess, 4 or 5 people total, maybe less than that, to a really effective law enforcement agency that was keeping up with the population of Williamson County. Because of his great service to the county, we would like to name the range up there after Sheriff Williams. He loved to shoot, and we've got an excellent range up there, and we'd like to put the appropriate signage and whatever to honor him in that way.
Thank you, Mr. Hancock. Sheriff, I know you want to just make a quick comment, if you would, on this, because it's a great honor, and you served under the sheriff. Any comments on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I did serve under Sheriff Williams with the Sheriff's Department. With this, I want the Commission to know that we know there's some hesitancy about naming facilities after people, but we tried to put in this resolution that his many years of experience and service, over 20 years that he dedicated to the community and to the county, we felt like this was the proper thing to do. He is actually the one that was the sheriff when the facility was currently built. Nothing in that facility is named after him, and we think it's the proper thing to do because of his love for firearms and shooting weapons. We'd like to name the weapons range after Sheriff Williams.
Thank you, sir. Any questions on this resolution, 20910? I see none. If you're in favor of this resolution, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes.
Resolution is adopted unanimously, 23 yes and 0 no. Any other reports, comments to come before the Commission tonight? This takes care of the dispensing of our business for the meeting tonight. Certainly appreciate each of you being here. It's about 10 minutes till 8 o'clock. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor say aye. We're out of here.
He loved to shoot.